Well, good morning.
Good morning.
We've got a really wonderful rainy day. We've just had over 4 inches of rain here. So I thank you all for braving the elements and showing up this morning. My name is Al King. It says right here. The subject for today's talk is going to be cultivating humility. You could also say humility from the point of view of a double Leo. So the quote that was chosen, which I think this quote is just wonderful for humility. Humility doesn't mean thinking less of yourself. It means thinking of yourself less. When I read that first quote, I forgot to credit it to C.S. Lewis. So this will give me another chance to read it. Humility doesn't mean thinking less of yourself. It means thinking of yourself less. So way back in ancient times, 50 years ago or something like that, when Sunburst was starting, folks were reading church words books about Lemuria. And in the books, he talked about a diagram which came from the ancient land of Lemuria. And when we lived in Nevada and Utah, in the basement of the visitor center at the Mormon temple was a copy of this carving. And there it was called the Mexican Star of David. And one of the aspects of that is that there were 2 interlaced triangles. And if you follow around the outside, that gave 12, it was made up of 12 lines. Each one of those was taken to represent a gate of virtue. And the thought was that in order to achieve illumination, one must enter through all 12 of the gates or master the 12 virtues. So it was also noticed that there were 12 months in the year, and there are 12 astrological or zodiacal months as well. And as our Earth passes around the sun, it passes through 12 different vibrations. And they are known as like I say, the zodiacal signs. And then Sunburst associated these virtues with these months. So Sagittarius is the month that we're in at the present time. And that runs from this year runs from November 22nd to December 21st. And the virtue that's associated with Sagittarius is humility. So I'm going to move on here from astrology onto astronomy. So it doesn't take too much to imagine our ancestors sitting around campfires looking up at the night sky. And when you do that, you're looking up and there are all of these points of light. Most of them are galaxies. The Milky Way is just chock full of galaxies and stars. A few of them are planets that from night to night are in different positions. And there's a real sense of awe when you look up in the night sky and spend time there, especially if it's night after night. And today, most of us find ourselves in the evening rather than enjoying God's creation. We're inside our artificial caves lit by artificial light, with our eyes glued to the opalescent screens of television, computer, our telephones, and it's really an artificial environment. And when we're looking at things like TikTok and looking at, one person trying to one-up the next person, it's a completely different than being outside looking up into the night sky, where you are really feel that vibration of humility because we are so insignificant. And as we know, in our galaxy alone, there are billions and billions of stars, and our galaxy is one of countless galaxies in our universe, and we don't even know if our universe is the only universe. And then there's the different dimensions. There could be other universes coexisting with ours, just on different dimensions, sharing the same space. So when we think about that, we should really feel some humility, because we're not maybe that special of a creation. I can remember Norm talking to us when we'd gather and listen to him. And he talked about the cloak of virtue, or the garment of virtue. And he spoke about a time when virtue might descend upon us like a garment that then we would be wearing, and virtue would be really easy. Most of us have to really practice virtue, practice expressing virtues in all our actions. But we can hope there will be a time when we can receive this grace from our divine parents. But in order to do that, it would be good if we prepare ourselves for this grace. And the one aspect of this preparation is to express our devotion to our divine parents through prayer, in our meditations, express our love to our divine parents. And the other is to attempt to express virtue in all of our actions throughout each day. When I was preparing this talk, I was thinking about quotations that could be read, or maybe a clip of Norm's speaking. And I came across a very short clip, but it's got a great chuckle factor. So I think it's going to get queued up here any moment.
Saints have said, practice the presence of God. Get used to the fact that God is with you wherever you go, whether He likes it or not. Before you do something, remember that you are dragging Him through it.
And I thought that had a different perspective than most of us usually thinking about. God is with us and in us all the time. We don't have to invite Him in. And whatever we're going through, He's experiencing it, as Norm said, whether He likes it or not. So it would be beneficial, I think, as we go through our days, to recognize that Spirit is within us all the time. And that our prayer shouldn't be, God be with me, but rather, might I be aware of your presence at all times. And with that mindset, we can invite God to participate in all of our activities and consciously invite Him to be there in all that we do. Invite God to offer us directions and inspirations. And to put this in contemporary terms, we can invite our divine parents to be our primary influencers. I heard something that caught my attention, and that is when young children are asked what they want to be when they grow up, there's actually a high percentage of children today that say they want to be influencers. And, not firemen or doctors. But we should consciously choose who we are going to invite in as our influencers. Not someone who's trying to get us to buy something or be like someone else, but our divine parents, and have them give us direction and advice in our life. I'm going to read a quote from the book of Matthew from the Bible. And I think this addresses the virtue of humility. And when thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites are, for they love to pray, standing in the synagogues and in the corners of the streets, that they may be seen by men. Verily, I say unto you, they have their reward. But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father, which is in secret, and thy Father, which seeth in secret, shall reward thee openly. So this reference to the closet, I believe, has to do with going into meditation, and when we shut the door in our closet, it will be closing off our senses and shutting down our thoughts that our mind, our soul, our spirit can receive from the divine source. So I believe it would be better for us if our actions were motivated by our concerns for others, our devotion to our divine parents, and our spiritual growth, rather than looking for recognition, looking for praise. It's natural to do that. I mean, we are in these physical bodies, these animal bodies, but if we're serious about our spiritual growth, we should go beyond that and open ourselves up to the divine influence. So free will. In philosophy, there's the debate whether or not things are predetermined or whether we actually have free will in our actions. And I believe it's a bit of both. After lifetimes of incarnations, we've accumulated what we call karma. And when it's time for us for it to enter into a new incarnation, from what I understand, we choose where we come in, when we come in, who our parents are going to be. And this is all so that we can learn the lessons that we need to learn in order to grow in spirit, in order to recognize that God is within us all the time. So we come in with our astrology, with our karma, and that is going to determine what kind of things we're going to confront in this life, what events are going to come to us that we have to react to. And then we have an astrology chart, and that chart is like a roadmap. It can tell us where and when the bumps in the road are going to occur, which will help prepare us to be able to deal with them. But whatever karma we come in with, whatever events we're going to experience, we have free will in how we're going to deal with them. It's our choice. Are we going to act out of virtue, or are we going to act as our self-centered physical bodies would have us act? Well, I'm going to do whatever I want, and to heck with what it means to, other people. So we've got that choice, that free will, to take the higher road and act out of virtue, or to succumb to the self-consciousness and the desires of that. When I started thinking about this talk on humility, immediately an old movie came to mind. And this movie, I thought, presents a perfect expression of humility. It's an old black and white movie, and it's about a Catholic church that was struggling. It was in trouble. So the priest was replaced by a much younger priest, probably fresh out of the seminary, and he was in charge. But there was another priest that was also assigned to the church. He was the assistant, older, and after going through all of the things that, you go through in a movie, all of the things that had to occur, the young priest turns to his assistant and said, "Oh, you were in charge all along." So I thought that was a perfect expression of humility. Where the true leader led from behind and let the younger person receive the respect, the praise, while he just stayed in the background. So it's time now for us to go into our time of quiet meditation. Time for us to practice the technique if we have one. And if not, sit with your spine as straight as possible. And imagine your spine as a hollow tube. And as you breathe in and out with long, deliberate breaths, follow that breath up and down the spine. And this activity hopefully will allow your thoughts to slow down and give you something for your mind to do besides running to and fro across the face of the earth thinking of all the things that we have to do and want to do and the things that make us angry and all of that. But focus on your breath. And then we'll sit quietly for some time, and about 15 minutes, and we'll come back together. I am that I am. We express our gratitude to you for your presence with us this day. And might you help us to remain awake and realize that your presence is always with us. And invite you to participate in our lives. And we request your direction and your inspiration. Thank you. Amen. Dearest friend,
light